No worries.
Everyone should be here. Excellent. To everyone out in the waiting room and to our contestants that are here in the speaking room, welcome. Welcome to your second day of IBEC and your 10-minute ethics only presentations. We hope you all had a good time yesterday, and we know that as judges, we were very impressed with everybody, very impressed with the information that we got from you. And from what I'm hearing, the competition is very fierce this year. So kudos to everybody. There are two Uber judges in the room today, so we'll introduce ourselves to you. My name is Jim Arnold. I have been with IBEC for 15 years now, since 2006. It's been a wonderful time. It's been a privilege. And I was also a professor of communication and management at University of St. Thomas in Minneapolis. And I was one of the founding faculty members that was starting out the new full-time MBA program. And with me today, my co-judge is Maria. Maria.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Jim. My name is Maria Sonin. I am the ethics program manager for electronic systems at BAE Systems, Inc., which is one of the largest U.S. defense and aeronautic companies in the country, or the world, actually. And in that role, I help run our internal ethics program. My association with IBEC goes back about a decade. I was involved in helping to integrate IBEC into the Ethics and Compliance Officer Association's annual conferences about 10 years ago. And more recently, I've served as a judge. So very happy to be here, love IBEC, and have really enjoyed seeing the sessions I've seen so far. So best of luck today.
Excellent. And in this day and age, the Zoom age, I think one of the most important people in any room is going to be your tech expert. So we have Chung here today. Chung, would you introduce yourself to the group?
Hi, this is Chung, and I'm on the West Coast. I'm a retired IT professional. So enjoy the session, and pleased to be with you. Thank you.
As you'll see, what we'll do is we will have the presenting team, or the people on the presenting team that will be talking, will be here in the presentation room with us, and the rest of you will be sitting comfortably out in the lobby waiting to come in, and you get to watch everybody. Here's how we're going to do it. We will go through the presentations one at a time. There won't be any Q&A. There won't be anything going on that's going to interrupt your presentation. At the very end, we will have some feedback for all of you, and Maria is going to handle that. She will have some feedback. And I was waiting for a call to see if I had a call from IBEC, but I don't. So excuse me, that'll stop ringing in a moment. And what I'm going to do is, yesterday we read for you a one paragraph that we do for every person or every team before they start. And we have another one for today. Again, you'll know all of this. You've probably read it, but we'd like to start out with everybody on the same footing. So we read this to everybody. You have been called back by the company you gave your full presentation to yesterday for a second visit. They have asked you to speak only about the ethical aspects of the problem and to explain why your solution successfully handles any ethical issues. You will have 10 minutes. There will be no Q&A. You may not use slides or video. If you hit the 10-minute mark, I will say time is up, and we'd like you then to get into your last couple of sentences and finish up. Also, if we were live in Boston, as we hope we will be next year, you would be making eye contact with us as judges. With Zoom, that's a little bit different. We're going to ask you to look into the camera so when you speak, so that you will be making eye contact with us. I think what you're probably noticing in your classes, and we see it everywhere else with Zoom, is that people are looking down at their own screen, thinking they're making eye contact. That makes sense because you're looking at people. But the truth is that we are not doing that unless we're looking into the camera. So first off today, We have St. Anselm, and what I'd like you to do, Carrie and Jessica, just take 1 second and tell us about you.
Hi, my name is Jessica Cacciola. I'm a junior at St. A's, and I'm a communication major.
Great.
Hi, I'm Carrie Roy. I'm a senior psychology major at St. Anselm.
Excellent. Thank you and welcome. Do you have any questions before we begin? Okay, we have read your summaries. Thank you. We know who we are. We know who you're talking to, and we will start whenever you're ready. Again, welcome to IBEC and good luck.
Well, thank you for having us back. Good evening. Today we'll be discussing the ethical violations of H&M. Again, I am Jessica Cacciola, and presenting with me today is my coworker, Carrie Roy. We're the second largest fast fashion clothing manufacturer globally, but our production model based on high volumes of clothing is inexpensive prices is not sustainable. This business model exploits the environment, the workers, and its consumer. These poorly made items are designed to be discarded after a few uses, so our materials are cheap and they pollute the earth after their stage of every garment cycle. Our false sustainable marketing misleads the consumer to believe that their purchased clothing items are more environmentally friendly than they are. This greenwashing is unethical because it misrepresents the brand as something that it is not. The materials harm the environment, which denies its intrinsic value on the environment. In doing so, it harms future generations so that present generations can consume far more than what they actually need. It is unethical to overlook future needs in favor of current fashion choices. Further, many of the places that are doing this is manufactured or dumped in low income and or non-white housing communities, which leads to an issue of environmental justice and racism. It is unethical that some people share a disproportionate share of the environment burden because they do not have the resources to fight against the location of these manufacturing facilities or dumping locations. As such, a solution needs to address both environmental and humanitarian concerns. Humans in the environment have the right not to be harmed, so we have the duty not to harm them in the name of a profit. Now my colleague Carrie will be presenting on the ethical issues of our business model.
Thank you, Jess. A core part of H&M, of course, is our mission statement. A major foundational pillar to that mission statement is making sustainable choices, even in the small, everyday things. Thus, making sustainable and ethical choices are integral to every decision we make as a company. Yet, we have been neglecting that key piece of our mission. Not only has our business model resulted in negative environmental effects like water pollution and creating massive landfills, but we have also betrayed the beliefs that guide our business. Now, you may be thinking that we, as a company, have no business trying to solve the ethical or environmental issues affecting the entire world. However, these issues also affect the company. Advocacy and environmental issues are constantly being spread around Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat. Now, more than ever, are our consumers aware of how their clothes affect global warming, pollution, and waste. As so clearly laid out in our mission statement, we pride ourselves in being part of a company that is also aware of these issues and is making conscious efforts to reduce our carbon footprint. By polluting natural water sources, playing a large role in filling landfills, and using hazardous chemicals, we are betraying the very trust of our consumers. This creates a great divide between our intentions and our impact. Consumers then take that as being morally irresponsible, and thus this results in company backlash and scrutiny. Furthermore, our actions will directly affect future generations. If pollution and destroying the environment continue, future generations will have a lack of access to clean water, lack of access to natural resources, and decreased air quality. These things allow for the current generation to live fairly easy lives. Not only do we have an obligation to not harm others, but we have an obligation to bring about good things with our actions. Thus, even if destroying the environment was not a detriment to others, we would still have a duty to do good things. We owe future generations clean water and clean air. Without these things, life would be harder and create and impose unnecessary burdens, and thus be unjust and unethical. We would also be failing to live up to our mission statement, most importantly. As a company, we believe that we should be making long-lasting positive change and making sustainable choices. It is also important to remember that global warming and other environmental issues affect the poor unproportionately. As stated earlier, we have a duty to one another to bring about good things and not impose unnecessary burdens. We wouldn't be able to properly advocate for positive change while actively creating negative change. In summary, we must minimize the divide between our company intentions and our actual impact on the communities we work in. Ethically, we have a responsibility to our consumers to be true to our word and make sustainable choices to reduce our carbon footprint by doing good. Making sustainable choices would better align ourselves with the key ideas we promote in our mission statement. Now, my colleague Jess will discuss how our solution addresses these ethical issues.
Thank you, Carrie. Our solution to resolve these ethical issues are to start constructing our own factories overseas and having the ability to manage them ourselves. If we control our own company, we will be able to ensure more sustainable practices. We can also ensure proper treatment of our labor force with livable wages and safe working conditions. Our goal is to have at least one factory open by 2022. We will start with one factory and grow those numbers to be much larger than what we have now. When we own our own factory, we are able to set the standard for our company. This means that we won't have to follow the standard rules that are set by large company owners. We will have the ability to set our own rules and allow them to align with our mission statement. In tandem with opening our own factories, we will become more transparent with business practices. This shows customers that we take initiative with our business model and that we not only care about the quality of our materials, but also the impact that they are making on the environment around us. By owning our own factory, we're able to directly control how we dispose of our waste products. This meaning chemical waste, material waste, water waste, exhaust waste, etc. By being more conscious of this, we are able to reduce our emissions and reduce the negative entities in our community. Our solution for H&M is a step in the right direction by being a spark for ethical change across fast fashion. Thank you.
Jim, I think you're muted.
For some reason, I'm just not technologically savvy enough to know that I'm supposed to turn back on my microphone. Thank you very much, team. We appreciate that. Chung, if you will move these two folks out to the lobby and move our Pfizer gentleman in.
Yes.
Happy to. So my name is Thomas Strandberg. I'm currently a senior at the University of Massachusetts Lowell, and I'm pursuing my degree in finance.
My name is Prabhakar Adithya. Tom will probably refer to me as Adithya. I'm a junior at the University of Massachusetts Lowell, and I'm studying accounting and finance.
Fantastic. I will write down the time here, and I will just let you start whenever you're ready. And welcome to IBEC again, and good luck to you.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Good morning. We are addressing the ethics behind the inequitable distribution of the COVID-19 vaccine. Our business identity is we act as an internal advisory council that makes sure Pfizer is setting the highest standards for quality, safety, and value when we're rolling out the vaccine. We have an extensive past with the US government and a leadership presence in the pharmaceutical industry, which makes us the best positioned company right now to take that next step and use our size and expertise to address ethical issues with this vaccine. According to the CDC, we need to fully vaccinate 80% of the population, and the US government has granted us legal liability immunity to achieve this aim. While currently the vaccine is prioritized by need, there are ethical issues plaguing programs in the US involving equity, miscommunication, and misinformation. We know that there are minority communities being vaccinated at a lower rate while dying at a higher rate from COVID, which is absolutely inexcusable ethically. Our core values state, we believe every person deserves to be seen, heard, and cared for, making equity for all a primary concern for us here at Pfizer. And because of our leadership status, people will continue to look to us for guidance towards the future. Now, one of our main concerns is ensuring that integrity and respect for people are never compromised, which is why we limit our own employees from receiving the vaccine until it is their phase and they are eligible. This is in line with the golden rule of helping those in need and causing the least harm and the greatest positive good, which is central to both Pfizer's objective and the vaccine in general. A major part of this issue is performing cost-benefit analyses between getting the vaccine to the people who need it the most and getting as many people as possible vaccinated to save lives. We are already delivering a massive amount of vaccine to the actual administration on the front lines, which is facing continual challenges as people are booking multiple appointments or failing to show up for their appointments, which causes excessive demand. And then the doctors are left with extra doses that expire, wasted. We believe the good of using those potential life-saving medicine that would otherwise expire outweighs the harm of loosening restrictions regarding who can get the vaccine. But we do not want to encourage issues that have been taking place where privilege has played a massive role in people's access to the vaccine, as people with more time, more resources, and better connections are able to get the vaccine earlier and line skip, and the incentive to claim pre-existing conditions that may not actually apply to them or use other communities' vaccination centers directly undermines our ability to get the vaccine to those who need it most, as appointments are completely filled. This causes unjustifiable harm, as we have seen people willing to dress as grannies just to get it earlier. We here at Pfizer have the same policy as doctors, in that we want to do no harm or repair any associated harm when making healthcare affordable and available for all, regardless of income or social status. This is part of why we suggest Pfizer produces micro-dose bottles that could reduce the wasted doses at the end of the day, while expanding the list of people that can be notified they may be called in for appointments. This is a two-pronged approach to the issue, as we give doctors the means to avoid wasting the vaccine by reducing leftover doses, while expanding the list of patients who need the vaccine and ensuring we are following the proper guidelines set and not allowing people to skip the line while we're making sure we're vaccinating more of the overall population. We have a promise to our stakeholders that we want to make medicine accessible and affordable to all while making sure everyone is being treated appropriately. This is currently not the case though, as people are unaware how to register for the vaccine, struggling to navigate different websites, and when they ask their doctors are unable to assist them, even direct them after they've gotten their first dose. This is especially true when we're looking at the elderly population, as they lack the expertise to navigate different websites and effectively register to receive their dose. There is a clear, demonstrable, tangible harm caused by this issue on those affected, as the lack of direction and available information leaves society's most vulnerable feeling helpless and hopeless. We need to consider different groups' ability to understand and approach getting a vaccine by providing informative materials and campaigning through public awareness how they can best meet their needs. By providing vaccine accessibility guidelines similar to UNICEF's efforts to make information clear, we can address the lost and confused patients that are currently being left behind. We need to tailor our media to our patients' needs by having a diversity of TV advertisements, billboards, and target especially vulnerable and critical communities that we can support our social media teams and conduct Q&As to answer our customers' frequently asked questions. This can help bridge the gap of fairness in access to the vaccine and support our aims of working towards the public's benefit and improving patients' outcomes. We believe all people deserve to live healthy lives, and this goal drives us to deliver safe, effective, and affordable medicine. Now I'll hand it over to my associate Aditya, who will address the misinformation surrounding this pandemic.
Thank you, Tom. Misinformation is a huge issue that's affecting the distribution of the vaccine today. You can see on young adult sites, social media sites like Twitter and TikTok, how much misinformation facts there are and how side effects, dangerous side effects of the vaccine that actually don't exist are being romanticized on these web pages. This represents a lack of integrity on major social media platforms, which can heavily damage our reputation as well as morale for those who are looking to take the vaccine. Additionally, minority communities have historically been prejudiced against and are receiving vaccines at a slower rate compared to those of other populations. And this is a huge issue for us because we're not tackling fairness and we're not proving that we have respect for all, which goes against our mission statement of providing equitable healthcare for everybody. In order to solve these issues, for social media platforms, we need to have a social media team that can fight misinformation at its source directly. This can help restore our reputation and the reputation of vaccines that have been recently tarnished in the last few years. In order to help minority communities, we need to establish trusted, positive relationships with minority communities and address former biases and show and prove that we believe in transparency and government regulation, that these vaccines are safe and equitable. To conclude, I want to restate the equitable issues that we're facing, the ethical issues that we're facing. A weak and unsteady distribution system that's riddled by privilege and that prevents us from doing good for everybody. We can tackle this by microdosing and having smaller doses, which can then reach out and be given to more people. Also, by having us call people and reach out to them, we can ensure that more people are getting the vaccine. Miscommunication is a huge issue, which highlights the tech equality versus tech equity issue. Although people have equal tech access, not everybody has equitable tech literacy and time. And this prevents people from understanding and getting information as to where they should go or what vaccines they should use. And this, as a result, is preventing people from actually being vaccinated. And misinformation is a huge issue. It tackles the issue of integrity, where people are looking at false information and being confused and led astray. This hinders on our reputation and hinders on our goal to meet equitable healthcare for everybody. To conclude, I want to say a quote from the great Martin Luther King. He said, "Of all the forms of inequality, injustice in healthcare is the most shocking and inhumane." Here at Pfizer, we agree with that statement, and our duty is to tackle that through our goal of equitable healthcare for all. These issues are only furthered as a result of race and income issues, and while these issues stand in our way, we will make sure that we tackle these issues. So thank you for allowing us to share our ethical findings with you, allowing us as an industry leader who can go above and beyond.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I'm also not muted right now, so I got that right this time. Thank you. Chung will move the two gentlemen out and we will bring the Marist folks in. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
There we go. Excellent. You are all here and you were ready to go. Did you have any questions before we start? You were able to hear me do the welcoming at the beginning, and so you got all the rules and everything. Excellent. And I will start the timer. You can begin when you are ready. Again, welcome to IBEC and good luck.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Yana Brzozowski, and with me today are Skylar Harrison and Emma Lohr. We would like to thank the current board for being here with us today. During this presentation, we will address the ethical lapses of the Boeing company's handling of the 737 MAX accidents, as well as provide solutions for the company to improve its ethical practices moving forward.
The current Boeing mission statement reads, "People working together as a global enterprise for aerospace industry leadership." It is clear that this shows Boeing's focus on market leadership rather than ethics, and we wanted to bring it up and emphasize it to you, the board, because this is really what sets the tone for corporate culture, business decisions, and the organization as a whole, and it should be remembered as we go through the rest of our presentation. Next, we feel as though it's important to analyze what an effective CEO does and doesn't do. Some positive attributes being guiding and evaluating executive leaders, working closely with the board of directors, and really overall being a positive and inspiring head of the company. On the other hand, a CEO should not abuse their power, create a toxic culture, or act unethically. And at the root, we really believe that the CEO does hold responsibility for a company's decisions and actions. To put this in the context of Boeing, we want to note the change of leadership after the crisis in 2019. Previous CEO Dennis Muilenburg was terminated in December of 2019, as I'm sure you all know, for not properly handling the situation in crisis. He was promptly replaced by David Calhoun, who prior to which served as the chairman of the board for Boeing. This sparks a lot of controversy, seeing as Calhoun held a leadership position, and a very important one at that, in the company during the same fallout that Muilenburg was fired for, bringing to light the question of whether Calhoun is the right successor for CEO. This is intensified by the fact that during Muilenburg's time as CEO, Calhoun stated that he believed that Muilenburg was doing everything right. From an ethical standpoint, this makes one curious as to if similar leadership attributes will be brought over, and if Calhoun will actually be able to address and fix Boeing's current standing and reputation.
Issues with the 737 MAX were brought up to upper management. At Pearson was a former Boeing manager who warned the company about issues with the 737 MAX at a factory in Washington state in the months leading up to the two accidents, in particular issues with a safety function and the engine. He stated he didn't want to wake up one morning and hear about another tragedy and have personal regrets. He also attempted to bring to light the ethical lapses surrounding the inspections of the aircrafts, as well as the potential for engine failure. These concerns, however, were overlooked by upper management due to an extreme haste in bringing the product to market. An example of a major issue that was ethically corrected is Johnson & Johnson's Tylenol crisis. In 1982, Johnson & Johnson was faced with a major ethical issue about the Tylenol that they had distributed. The victims, all based in Chicago, had taken Tylenol capsules that had been laced with potassium cyanide, and a total of 7 people died. This was a major ethical issue for Johnson & Johnson, and if they were to recall the Tylenol, then they would lose a large amount of revenue. Johnson & Johnson's crisis response team was faced with the immediate decision of either risking more deaths or removing the product from the shelves. After originally only recalling all Tylenol products in the Chicago area, Johnson & Johnson decided it was in the public's best interest and also the ethically right thing to do was to recall all 31 million Tylenol bottles, which was valued at an astounding $100 million. In an article that was published in the Washington Post, it read, "Johnson & Johnson has effectively demonstrated how a major business ought to handle a disaster. This should be an example for Boeing. Johnson & Johnson's stock rose after a couple of months of recalling the product. If Boeing were to have grounded the planes right after the first crash and had taken the financial hit, then that would have been the most ethical solution to their problem, hence gaining more respect from both the industry and the public." So now we ask the question of why did the FAA allow Boeing to conduct their own inspections? It's first important to note that Boeing is not the only company that is allowed to inspect their own products. In total, there are 79 companies the FAA allows to do self-inspection. The company's own employees are the ones doing the inspections and are on the company's payroll. This can lead to a conflict of interest and incentivizes inadequate or false inspection reports. As Yana just talked about with the whistleblower, there were obviously issues found with the planes that Boeing chose to ignore. Boeing was putting profits over the safety of its customers. If self-inspection wasn't allowed, the planes could have been grounded earlier and prevented the crashes. This goes into our suggestion to lobby the FAA to stop self-inspection in order to put safety over profits and have Boeing act in an ethical manner.
Before getting to our final solutions, we would like to discuss the ethical considerations by competitors. To provide some context, the primary competitor for the 737 MAX model is Airbus and their A320neo aircraft. The ethical implication here is that there is again a stronger focus on business competition rather than the quality of the aircraft itself. This is actually proven to be counterproductive based on the financial hit taken due to the crises. It should also be noted that Airbus has also come under fire recently for an ethical issue, specifically one regarding an anti-corruption settlement. Although these crises are of a different nature, it emphasizes the overall lack of dedication to ethics in the aerospace industry and highlights the opportunity for Boeing to be the one to really change that.
There are a number of solutions that could help Boeing become more ethical, but we will be talking about the ones that we believe will help Boeing the most. First, Boeing should lobby the FAA to stop allowing companies to conduct their own inspections of their products. Boeing already spends so much money on lobbying government officials, so Boeing could allocate some of those lobbyists to lobby the FAA. This self-inspection has obviously led to many issues with Boeing, especially with the 2 crashes. We believe Boeing is too big of a company to not be acting ethically, so we all believe that they need to lead by example, and this could start with lobbying the FAA. If a large company like Boeing stops self-inspections, they would be leading by example and could get the FAA to stop this practice. Boeing is a major player within the US industry as a whole, so Boeing should be taking the necessary actions to be the most ethical they can be, since all eyes are on them.
The company, in addition, must move away from the current ultra-competitive and cost-cutting mentality. While a high competition is synonymous with a duopoly, there is a means to do so in a manner that will benefit both the company's operations and its shareholders. One of your main business goals is to ensure optimal value of the products for customers. This cannot be achieved with the current mentality, as there is a higher focus being placed on reducing the bottom line rather than the safety and security of the products. If costs are of that great of a concern, executive compensation is a great way to reduce this. This will kill 2 birds with 1 stone. As I'm sure you are aware, the reputation of Boeing has been hindered due to the public's perception that the 737 MAX accidents were mishandled and unethical behavior did come to light. Reducing executive compensation would clearly indicate that upper management is willing to take a personal loss rather than put hundreds of innocent lives at risk. In addition, doing so will allow the company to begin restoring their reputation as well as reduce the bottom line.
Our last proposed solution is to create a new mission statement. As we have mentioned earlier, we really believe that the mission statement is the principle that guides you, the board, and other top executives, and that it would be beneficial from an organizational, cultural perspective to alter it, that now is the perfect time following the crisis. This would also be able to serve as the start to the development of a stronger ethics and compliance program, which would really make sure that ethics are prioritized throughout the entire company. To get specific, our new proposed mission statement reads, "People working together as a global enterprise for aerospace industry leadership that prioritizes safety and behaving in an ethical manner." We really encourage you to utilize this proposed statement, as it still incorporates the elements, the focus on industry leadership, which has been a stronghold and a strong point for Boeing thus far, but also includes elements of safety and ethics, which can really be reassuring for consumers and the community as a whole.
We urge you that if you do not take the steps we recommended to fix the problems that are affecting Boeing now, the decision will eventually be taken out of your hands. Boeing will lose the ability to control the narrative and the way to go about the situation that is the best for your company. We thank you for your time, and we are more than happy to answer any questions you may have regarding the information or solutions presented.
Okay. Thank you very much. All very interesting.